Hey folks, hope you're doing good today. Hope you're having a good week so far and all that jazz. Thanks for tuning in to the Unsigned Showcase. Today we've got Tom and Nxxses back with their project Womb of Error. We've heard a couple of tracks off this EP, but they've pulled it all together now with 4 tracks. So there's 2 on there that we haven't heard, and we're going to give the whole thing a spin today to just get a whole vibe of the whole album and see how it goes. Let's get it on the screen, no messing around. The album is called We Will Never Be Okay Again. It's got 4 tracks. Let's give them a spin. Very good. Very enjoyable music. We've heard this one before. If you want to hear my in-depth review of it, go back and check the video out. But what I'll just say about this is the guitar tone's right, sounds really nice, got a good tone to it, and the lead stuff sits in there well in the mix. It's got a good low-end bassiness to it, which provides a nice kind of foundation for everything else to sit on. It's really got a nice bassy low end. The vocal sits in there great, as we expect from Nxxses. The drums sound great, like all the tings on the ride. They're obviously MIDI drums, but they don't sound too robotic, and they sound nice. But the only thing, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned this on the video as well last time, is I just think this music, and hopefully maybe we see it in the later tracks we haven't heard, but just needs some of that blackened blast beat in there, digga 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 digga, just for some sections, just to move it into that area, have that kind of stuff on the drums as well, and it would be really, really nice. The only other thing as well I'd like to mention on the drums is just to add a few more fills in there, few longer fills down the toms or something like that into the next section's nice to hear. But yeah, it sounds good. It's really nice on the ears. So there you go. We've heard this next track as well, but let's refresh it with years spent in regret. It's hard to read that. Yeah, nice guitar distortion for the kind of music as well. Sounds blackened. Very good. When these guys get going and all the elements come together, you got the double bass, you had that Tommy section in there, which real low, echoey toms as well, which sounded great. You got the dual guitars on either side, the lead sat in the middle as well with a slightly different tone to it, some more reverb and stuff on there, which separates it from the other guitars. Great bass tone, sat rock at the bottom, which just is always filling out the low end. The kick on it as well has got a real deep punch to it, but it doesn't get in the way of anything else. Even when the double bass is going digga 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 digga, there's still, you can still hear the bass. There's still room for the deep vocals and things like that as well in there. So it's actually a really nice mix. The kick on it has got a nice deep thud to it, which can get in the way of things when you start doubling them up, but it doesn't. It kicks in there. It's got a nice punch and kind of compressed kick to it. So yeah, it sounds really great when everything's going there, and you've got all the elements working all at once. Sounds absolutely great. Right, we've got 2 more tracks, and these ones we haven't heard before, so let's enjoy these for the first time. I've got no idea what that says. I can't read it.
I rise and I got and pay for all
Good one. Bit more thrashy in the beginning there, and a bit more kind of forward pushing on the drums as well. Then moving into these nicer sections with this guitar tone, breaking it down a bit and making it a bit more atmospheric and post-metal. Sounded absolutely great. Really, really nice. Now, the only thing I'm going to mention again that I want to see more from these guys going forward into 2026 is just a bit more frills on the drums, because you can do so much nice stuff with drumming when you've got a high-level drummer in your band as well. For this kind of music, so great. Loads of blast beats I want to hear. Where you've got the double bass section in here now, you can just do a bit more on the snare with some blast sections or just some triplets and things like that, just to spice up the snare a bit more. And then just where you were going into this section with the softer section with the guitar, would it just been nice to have a dun 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 bound, and then move into it. A nice drum roll down the toms can just move the listener, or let the listener know that there's a breakdown section coming up, and it just feels so great to move with the drums into that section when they've got a nice tom feel on there. So I'll just be thinking about the drums a bit more in the music going forward. They sound good, they've got a great sound to them, but some of the beats are just a bit basic. Doom, ch, doom, ch. And it'd just be a bit nicer to get a bit more spiciness and kind of higher level drumming out of the drums patterns. That would be all I'd say. Let's move on to the last one. Been a very good album though. toms. Be nice to hear them just a little bit. Loads of dynamic shifts in this music, which is really nice to hear. I'm always listening out kind of what Tom's doing in the mix and then what Nxxses is doing in the mix, because you've got to remember Tom's done all the music. He's basically a one-man band in terms of the music, and putting his hands to all these different edges. There's lead sections in there and even a solo in this one, which was really nice to hear. And you've got to remember, when you're a one-man band, all of these tasks, if you want to go above and beyond just this normal kind of output, you've really got to put a lot of effort in, because you've got to do a lead section for your guitar, then you've got to make a solo, you've got to work out all the drum beats and the fills and how they're going to affect the music as well, all the bass and stuff as well. So there's every kind of task that you go at. If you want to give it your absolute all, there's so much to do within each individual bit. And I can tell he's a guitarist like me who's, put his hand to a one-man band, and that's generally how it goes. Guitarists are the guys who want to be a one-man band, because they've got all the riff ideas, but then they've got all the drum beat ideas and stuff as well, and it's just easier to do it on your own sometimes. That's what I've found anyway. So I'm thinking about Tom when I'm listening to this music, and I'm really liking what I'm hearing from all these different elements of the music and the mix as well, and how it all comes together in the end and how it sounds all balanced out. I think he's done a really great job, and there's so many different jobs to have been done in there as well, let alone writing the music and recording it and everything else. He's done a super mix. As I say, I can see as well from the little stereoscope that was under their logo there that things are really nicely EQ'd in this, and that's why the kick and the snare don't overtake the whole mix when they come through, because I could see they were really tightly EQ'd. When they kick through, they only hit the frequencies they need to, didn't bleed through into any kind of muffly frequencies and stuff like that. So they hit hard every time they come come through because they were really surgically EQ'd in there. And it sounded great. You can hear that when you've done a bit of mixing. You can hear, because you think to yourself, well, when I did double bass and it was that deep and low, it took over the mix. So what's this guy done to make sure that it doesn't? And what he's done is EQ'd out all the nasty frequencies that you don't want in there when you hit in the kick, and really got the kick to come through nicely. So I thought he did a great job, not only of writing the music, recording the music, but also mixing the music, and all those different jobs that have to come in there. The only thing I'm going to tell him to focus more on for the future, for 2026, and how to take his music to the next level, it's going to be in the drum patterns, particularly add in black and blast beats, as I've said all the way through, but also those tom fills, or even just those tom sections that we heard in the second track was really great, to add just more on the drums instead of these kind of thrashy stompy beats. You just need to add more to the drum patterns, more fills, more blast beats, more bits on the snare, and it will just elevate the whole music, because once the drums are more interesting, everything else becomes more interesting as well. And as I say, it will flow better because you flow into those softer sections, because the listener will know, oh, there's a big fill here, that means we're going to shift into a different kind of section, and it just works. That's how drummers work out the music to make it sound any better. So that'll be what I'd say for Tom moving into 2026. Spend a bit more time on your drum patterns, make them more interesting, and try and think more as a high level drummer. And the more as you can think as a high level drummer, the more interesting the music will become as a result, because everything else is there. The riffs are cool, the distortion's cool, the lead stuff's cool, the bass is great in there, the different sections of the track and the way they flow, because we've got faster bits, we've got double bass bits, we've got more stompy kind of thrashy bits, and then breaking it down into the cleaner, reverby is what I'm trying to say, getting all my words mixed up, guitar sections and bringing it down, even having some singing there from Nxxses. Now I think you might need a bit of melodyne at this stage to hit those notes perfectly, but it was nice to hear that, just thinking outside the box and doing different stuff as well. Now I've said it before, Nxxses does great on this. It gives him an ability to just showcase whatever he likes. He can go highs, black and fry, and all that fizzy stuff at the top, or deep and low as you like. And there was some really nice deep low bits in there where it's just like, ooh, as low as you can possibly go. And it sounds great, and everything in between. So it works with this music. I thought Tom as well sat the vocal nicely in the mix. It wasn't too up forward. It was just sat there on top of the guitars, like right there, in the right place, and it sounded great, and it just let Nxxses do whatever he want over the top. So I hope these guys are very happy with what they've done this year, because this is a collection of the tracks that they put together over this year, and that they're going to continue into 2026 with this project, and all they need to do is just keep going down this path and just elaborate and kind of embellish what they've got there already. They've got a great foundation. They can just start adding more cherries and frills and things and bits of cream on top, and it will just get better and better and better as they keep doing that. So that'll be it. That's what they've got to do for 2026, and I'll be looking forward to hearing it. Hope you guys enjoyed this as well, and like following along with Tom and Nxxses, what they've been getting up to this year. I always find it interesting to see what they're doing, and I just love the passion for the music. Nxxses is involved in so many different projects, and I just love that he's still got and he's been doing that for years and years now. It's not just like, sometimes you see guys where they get a real passion for 18 months, they put out a bunch of stuff, and then that's it. They've spent their load, and they move on to something else, or their ADHD moves them on to some other hobby and project. But Nxxses, he's stuck with this stuff, and just kind of just kept chunneling away at it throughout the years, and working with different people, working in different projects, different styles of music. And I think this blackened stuff and the electronic deathcore stuff that we saw from him the other time have been his best stuff so far over the years we've been listening to him. So that just tells me he keeps getting better, keeps hooking up with cooler people, and just finding his niche even more, because I think that it was a bit of a time there where he was trying a bunch of different stuff. We had all that trap metal and things like that, and he wasn't quite sure what he was wanting to do, but I think he really does great on this black metal edge because it gives him a chance to get that black and darkness out of him, but he also does great on, as you know, with the deathcore stuff as well, because he can just go as hard as hell as he wants on that as well. So really interesting music. I've enjoyed it a lot. I hope to see more of this in 2026. And as I say, just embellished further, more frills on top to just make it even more interesting and cool to listen to it. There you go. That's what I've got to say. Hope you've enjoyed that today, guys. We'll see you next on Monday now for the Monday grind. So have a great weekend and all that jazz. Cheers. Bye.